Dogs found a tiny creature in the dirt. Rescuers realized what it is. Dogs are man's best friend and can sometimes be more observant than we know. One man and his two dogs were out for a walk when they came across an unexpected creature. It was alive, but seemed to be some sort of lizard, amphibian, or wild animal. Stay tuned to find out what happened when dogs found a tiny creature in the dirt. Rescuers realized what it. Before we hear about one man and his dogs, we have two very similar stories to share with you today. Kelly and Lily. Dogs are pretty amazing animals. They instinctively know how to do the right thing. Well, the majority of the time, most of them are more trustworthy and reliable than some humans. Dogs can be vicious and ferocious if they have to be, but most are gentle and loving. It was a cold winter's day in Indianapolis, USA with Christine. White snow covering Kelly's backyard. She let her furry canine Lily outside to run around in it. After a while, Kelly noticed that Lily had become somewhat distracted by something lying on the frozen ground, so Kelly walked towards her pet to find out what had captured her attention. Kelly discovered that Lily had spotted a bird in the snow. She commanded her ever-secure dog to stay back and leave the bird alone. The tiny creature looked like it was injured and in a very bad state. Upon closer inspection, she realized that the bird wasn't moving, its little body was entirely frozen over in the snow. The small wings appeared to be immobile after being stuck together by ice. Kelly knew that precious bird's life was in grave danger if she didn't act fast. She immediately went back into her house, left her dog inside, and went back out with a green plastic bowl and a blanket. Kelly placed the tiny creature inside the bowl and covered it with a blanket. She proceeded to make her way carefully to her home. Quick thinking, Kelly came up with a plan to create enough heat for the bird to throw the ice out. She decided to place the bowl on the ground beside the back door as she had both a dog and cat inside. Kelly, equipped with a hairdryer and carrying instincts, turned on the dryer and very carefully began to move the warm air over the bird's frozen feathers. The bird remained very still and showed no signs of recovery. She kept going at it on the same low setting. She was cautious as to not put the setting on too high and warm him up too quickly. As Kelly continued to make contact with the cold body, something amazing happened. The ice melted, which in turn allowed the bird's feathers to thaw, and Kelly learned that the bird was very much still alive. The heat that generated from the hair dryer was able to fluff up the little bird's feathers. The tiny bird that began to hop up and turn its little body towards the warm air. The bird eventually began to regain energy, and after over 2 hours of being dried, it slowly began to move its wings again. The once lifeless bird was back to its old self and ready to take flight. Kelly watched on as a proud mother at the bird found all its strength and soared away again. She documented photos on her phone of her little friend. How incredible is that? A bird that was seemingly dead being brought back to life. If it wasn't for Lily finding the bird, who knows what would happen to it? Quick thinking, Kelly was able to save this little bird's life just in time. Kelly and Lily do make such a great team. Bear, when they knew South Wales and Queensland areas in Australia were devastated by bushfires, as many resources as possible were being directed there. Unfortunately, not only were people's homes destroyed, but many animals suffered immensely as well. Because of this, there are teams made specifically to check whether there are surviving koalas in the burned areas. One of the most important team members is Bear. Bear is a 5-year-old Australian coolie dog who was abandoned by his family and has been rescued and retrained to detect koala bears by detection dogs for conservation. Bear wasn't quite a fit for the average home due to his obsessive-compulsive behaviors, but his unique temperament made him perfect with tracking live koalas. He had been specially trained to sniff out and detect sick, displaced, orphaned, and injured koalas in the wild, especially in the wake of habitat devastation, like in the 2019-2020 Australian bushfires. Finding koalas can be a difficult task. They camouflage well. They're quiet and usually sit very still. However, dogs can smell what we can't see, including koalas. These dogs, together with the team's drone equipped with a thermal camera, greatly increased koala detection rate. Koala detection dog Bear brought a glimmer of hope for koalas suffering from Australia's deadly bush fires. Bear was an integral part of these rescue efforts. He was recently deployed to southeast Queensland and one of the hardest in areas of New South Wales, where the bushfires decimated local koala populations. Bear was one of the few detection dogs who can locate live koalas through the scent of their fur. Rescue koalas is not an easy job to do the koala detection. Dogs need to have no interest in people, be hyper-focused, and without a prey drive. Fortunately, Bear meets the requirements. Bear is highly focused and brilliant at focusing on one thing, his ball, which is his reward, which makes him perfectly suited for the job. He also has zero prey drive, which is essential for a wildlife detection dog, as they need to focus purely on the scent and not the animal, ultimately ignoring the as far as subside, and it's safe for everyone to go in. The team may first deploy drones equipped with inverted cameras to help them narrow in on the location of live koalas. Then it's time to track in on foot, and this is Bear's time to shine. The team gives Bear his favorite command, "Let's go find," and he is off running as Bear begins the smell, fresh scats, and urine. He knows he's on track. He will drop to the ground to tell his team to follow me. They all travel very light, including Bear himself, his handler, and a koala spotter. While the handler's eyes focus on Bear on the ground, the spotter scans the tree canopy. Finally, Bear will drop to the ground and refuse the budge, indicating to everyone that it's time to scan the canopy above and find the koala. It's a tough moment for Bear, looking on as his humans get to work. When the team finally sets their eyes on the koala, Bear gets his ball as a reward, and for him, that is heaven. From November 2019 to April 2020, Bear has found more than 100 injured, sick, dehydrated, or starving koala who were able to be assessed and, when needed, brought into care. During the active bushfires, Bear worked with local koala experts and wildlife rescue groups target areas where koalas had been impacted by fire. The team helped look for koalas that were known to live in these areas and some that had been observed as injured but escaped rescue attempts. Before we get into our last story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to hear more amazing stories from around the world. One man and his dogs. Australia is never boring. Sometimes having a big heart and trying to help really makes all the difference in some creatures' lives. When it comes to rescuing animals, it means all animals, the big and the small, and sometimes the very, very small. Stay tuned to find out what happened when dogs found a tiny creature in the dirt. Rescuers realized what it is. A man in East Coast, Australia was walking his two dogs when they suddenly smelled something beside a tree and brought their owner over to it. The man noticed that it was a tiny animal and beside it, another one similar to it. He immediately took off his jacket and bundled the tiny, almost hale creatures into it. The animals appeared to have fallen out of the tree. He walked a short distance back home with the little creatures in his arms and his two dogs walking on either side of him. The man wasn't sure if the small creatures were injured and hurting, so brought them over to the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital, a place well known for rescuing animals. The two tiny creatures were light pink with big dark gray eyes. Do you know what animal they were? The hospital informed the man that the thumbnail-sized creatures were feathered-tailed gliders. They are the smallest gliding marsupial in the world and native to Australia. The staff, namely two feather-tailed gliders, Betty and Boop, after getting Betty and Boop all checked over, the staff concluded that they must have fallen out of their home in the treetops and luckily escaped injury. Feather-tailed gliders are nocturnal and found in forests on Australia's east coast and some parts are South Australia, surviving on a diet of insects, pulling seeds, and nectar. Feather-tailed gliders are the smallest mammals in the world. When they grow up, they weigh around 13 grams and their body is around 6 to 8 centimeters and their tail is around 7 to 8 centimeters. They live in trees and are rarely found down on the ground. However, despite their small size and weight, they can fly for up to 25 meters. Feather-tailed gliders use their tails for maneuvering, braking, and keeping balance, especially moving between trees. They make homes in trees. It can be a sphere nest from eucalyptus or fern leaves or even tree bark. Noticing a creature less than 18 millimeters is very hard for human, so thankfully, the man's two dogs were there with him that day to be his eyes, before something serious happened to the two baby feather-tailed gliders. Luckily, a pair of sharp eyes, as well as a few noses, were out the day they fell from their mother's pouch. The dogs could also have easily harmed Betty and Boop out of sheer curiosity, but never did. It was really an amazing animal friendship to see, and so uniquely Australian. Betty and Boop are now being nursed back to health with a milk formula fed through a very fine tube and round-the-clock care. The tiny creatures could not have made it on their own. They will both grow up to be strong and healthy and will eventually be let back out into the wild. Feather-tail gliders are so cute. You may just be tempted to jump through your screen and give this little one a great big smooch. I'm so happy they're safe and can be together. High five to those rescuers. What has your pet found that shocked you? Tell us in the comments below. We love hearing what you have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time.